When you're the piggy bank that everybody steals and robs from, and they deceive you, and they've been doing for 25 years, tariffs are a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful word if you know how to use them properly. They're letting millions of people walk up through their country, and they shouldn't let anybody walk up through their country. They send in $500 billion worth of drugs. They kill 100,000 people. They ruin 1 million families every year. If you look at that, that's really an invasion without the guns.
That was from last night. And breaking tonight, it appears Trump's tough talk worked. Within the last hour, the White House announced the U.S. has reached an agreement with Mexico to stop the invasion of illegal immigrants crippling our southern border and suspend the impending new tariffs. Fox's Kristen Fisher is live in Washington tonight with the late breaking details. Kristen, what do you have?
Well, Pete, tonight President Trump was successfully able to use the threat of tariffs to get Mexico to the negotiating table and commit to take several concrete steps to help reduce migrants from illegally entering the United States. He made the announcement, as he often does, on Twitter by saying, quote, "I am pleased to inform you that the United States of America has reached a signed agreement with Mexico. The tariffs scheduled to be implemented by the U.S. on Monday against Mexico are hereby indefinitely suspended. Mexico, in turn, has agreed to take strong measures to stem the tide of migration through Mexico and to our southern border." So here's what Mexico has agreed to do. It will deploy National Guard troops to Mexico's southern border on Monday. That's the entry point for many of these Central American migrants. It will allow migrants awaiting conclusion of their U.S. asylum process to be sent to Mexico while they wait, and it will provide job opportunities to those migrants. Mexico will also try to dismantle human smuggling and trafficking organizations, and if that doesn't work, Mexico will consider taking even more actions. In return, President Trump will not impose that 5% tariff on all Mexican goods, which was set to go into effect on Monday. The deal came after 3 days of intense negotiations here in Washington. And despite all of those concessions from the Mexican government, tonight, Mexico's foreign minister called the deal fair.
I think it's a fair balance because they have more drastic measures and proposals at the start. And we reach some middle point. For instance, they accept to support the program that Mexico proposed in Central America. On the other hand, we accepted to have a more extended version of 235 and to accelerate the deployment of the National Guard.
Now, remember, President Trump has taken a lot of heat from Democrats and Republicans for threatening Mexico with these tariffs. The president has said that he likes to use these tariffs to negotiate with. So far, it has not worked with China. But, Pete, tonight, that strategy worked with Mexico.
Well said.
Pete?
Kristen, thank you very much for the latest information. Well, joining me now to react is Harmeet Dhillon, attorney and Trump 2020 Advisory Council member, and Francisco Hernandez, immigration attorney. Thank you both. You and I are hearing these results in real time. I've got the U.S.-Mexico joint declaration in front of me, and you heard it. Mexican National Guard to their southern border. Migrants who are seeking adjudication for asylum sent back to Mexico. Mexico agrees with that. And the whole thing reviewed 90 days from now to see whether or not Mexico is actually fulfilling it. So, Harmeet, when you look at this and you consider what America gave up, which is a tariff that never was imposed but was threatened, your reaction?
Well, tariffs are not the favored tool of most conservatives, Pete. However, desperate times call for desperate measures. And as we can see here, it worked. And I think it is a great result for America and actually a pretty good result for Mexico as well, because Mexico's actually been getting the benefit of allowing the current situation. There are a lot of remittances, some $40 billion going back to Mexico every year. And it's not working. And so neighbors need to work out their disputes. And now, in addition to the terms that you mentioned, it's also going to include the National Guard actually fanning out throughout Mexico, interdicting gangs and smuggling rings and helping with that, and also providing some support and even potentially jobs to those asylum seekers who are waiting for their applications to be processed in America. So I think it's going to be actually great for those people who are seeking to come to this country as well. They can be in a safe environment and be supported there in Mexico while America makes a rapid determination about whether they're eligible or not.
Yeah, Francisco, you're an immigration attorney. You understand how dysfunctional this process is. Would you acknowledge this is a big win for the White House and the American people?
It is smoke and mirrors. People, we're not even talking immigration reform. Guys, not only are we now admitting that we can't get the wall built? We're now admitting that Mexico's not going to pay for the wall. And worse, we're going to pay for these development of jobs in Mexico. So not only are we admitting that Mexico's not going to pay for the wall, we're going to give them money to employ these Central Americans so they don't come here, and we're not
they're talking about that's not what we're doing.
Nonsense,
Francisco,
we're not giving them any money.
We all
read between the lines, because they're saying
I'm reading the lines.
I'm reading the lines right here, Francisco.
Francisco,
the lines right here are that Mexico will offer jobs to folks who have been in these migrant caravans there. We're not paying for the deployment of their national. We're not paying for the deployment of their national guards. We're not paying for asylum seekers who are sent back to Mexico. Ultimately, this is how can you not acknowledge that if Congress won't hold on, guys,
Mexico's not even
Francisco.
The reason people are coming here from Mexico is because Mexico can't provide jobs for its own citizens, and we're saying Mexico's going to provide jobs for Central Americans.
No, they cannot. Would you not acknowledge that their own government and the cartel are facilitating this? And so if we can get a crackdown on the way people are smuggled and treated as they come into this country, that's a win for both countries and for the humanitarian crisis we have at our border. I mean, why can't you acknowledge, Francisco, why can't you acknowledge these are good steps in the right direction?
What happened? There is no step. We're going to end up paying for it. And so at least as long as you guys agree that we're not going to build a wall. Is that what you guys ready to agree?
No, I don't think we're agreeing on that.
We're not talking about that. That's a separate issue. We're talking about what's happening right now in the next few days.
Well, you can take that up with the courts who have been disrupting this president's plan to attempt to build portions of that wall, no doubt about it. But it's a non sequitur to tonight, and I guess you're trying to distract away from a clear victory when these tariffs were criticized by many. Will they hurt our economy? Is it the right tool? And they've worked.
It isn't just a political victory. It is a human rights victory, because children are being smuggled and abused. Girls are being raped. This is an untenable situation from a human rights perspective. We got to do something about it. We can't wait for Democrats and even fake Republicans who aren't willing to protect our country. We have to do this today.
When you talk about policy, how are you not pointing at Congress? How are you not pointing at Congress?
Oh, I am pointing out at Congress. Absolutely. They failed to do their job. Absolutely. Which caused us to come up with these crazy ideas that tariffs were going to stop people from coming over, while Mexico's going to provide jobs to the Central Americans.
Brought an opportunity where we've got new concessions from Mexico, and we're going to review them in 90 days. How is that not a win?
Mexico wasn't going to pay those tariffs. You and I were. Our avocados and enchiladas were going to go up.
The tariffs were a negotiating tool.
Right,
now Mexico is going to pay. Mexico's paying for the internal security of its National Guard. Mexico is paying to house and provide jobs for those refugees. Read the report. Read the agreement. It's very clear.
Well, you haven't even read the agreement because it just happened in the last hour. But if you read between the lines,
I can read.
I know that it says we're not paying for jobs for Mexicans or for migrants in Mexico. That's what it doesn't say.
Where are those jobs going to come from?
Mexico's paying for it. Mexico's
going to have to figure that out. But in the meantime, we get to protect our sovereignty, which is the point of this entire exercise.
Let's come back tomorrow, and you show me where it says that Mexico's going to pay for those jobs.
Well, in 90 days, we will be back here. We're evaluating it in 90 days.
Maybe you can come join us on Fox and Friends in the morning, and we'll talk about it.
We haven't seen anything in writing.
Well, we've got to leave it right there. It's a debate ongoing, but it's tough when you're trying to debate something, and ultimately there is a win, and we can't even acknowledge. Smoke and mirrors.
It's a big win.
There you go. Harmeet and Francisco, thank you very much for your time and differing perspectives. Well, another Uncle Joe, oh no.